Hey friends. Okay, welcome to our 21 Laws of Leadership training discussion call for tonight. Let's pray together and dive right in. Heavenly Father, I'm very thankful for this community of people and just the quality and character represented here and our desire to grow and do hard things and raise others up in the process. It's been incredibly uplifting for me for 7 years, and I'm nowhere near done, and I know they're not either. So we ask that you continue to bless our efforts and our vision, and that you would multiply our time and bless the work of our hands and embolden us and give us courage and give us strength and every good thing that we need in order to carry out this calling that you've placed on our hearts. And thank you for bringing us together. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so tonight we are discussing 2 of the 21 Laws of Leadership. Now, if you don't have the book, you can still be getting a lot out of the videos that we're watching each week with Brittany Howard and her amazing team. So that's all that we're kind of requiring in order to keep up with this. I do have the book though, and I have it out just for a few quotes because it's so fitting that we're starting with the Law of Victory on Memorial Day. And I even made my favorite quote from this chapter a Facebook status today, and it has 1 like on it because apparently Facebook does not want to reward Memorial Day quotes in the algorithm. Who knows what's going on with that? But I get a little bit sappy when it comes to the Law of Victory and when it comes to stories of war. So we'll get into that in a minute. But the law, and then the second law we'll discuss is the Law of Momentum. In the book, he calls it the Law of the Big Mo, but it stands for momentum. So we're going to talk about what that is. The Law of Victory means you are determined to prevail. You are determined to prevail. Now, the opposite of victory is not failure, despite what a lot of us go through our life operating as. It's not failure. The opposite of victory is quitting. Failure is actually an integral part of learning. It's actually a very important part of victory. You cannot win unless you kind of fail your way along to those wins. Think about just a child learning to ride a bike. If they fall as they're learning to ride a bike, do they quit and say, I'm a failure at riding a bike? No, because falling is literally how your brain gets the feedback it needs to course correct and then stay balanced the next time. So very important that we understand that failure is not the opposite of victory. Quitting is the opposite of victory. And when somebody is committed to living their life according to the Law of Victory, they are determined to prevail. They are determined to prevail. So I'm going to read us this quote that got 1 like on my Facebook. But in all seriousness, years ago, 6 years ago, my first leaders retreat that I earned was in Washington, D.C. And after all the Plexus events, Chris and I went around the city and saw some of the sites. And I can't tell you how moving it was to go to the veteran memorials, the memorials for all of the major wars, and see the names. See the names of these soldiers. And just to imagine, it was not that long ago that these soldiers literally stormed the beaches at Normandy to end Hitler's reign of terror. And they knew they were going to die, and it was worth it. So y'all, I do always get sappy with this, but I want you to have that context as I read this quote. So Winston Churchill was the leader of Great Britain at that time. And for a long time, Great Britain stood alone against Hitler's reign. And finally, other countries began to ally with them and eventually defeated them in the war. But there is a famous speech, Winston Churchill's first speech as he was rallying the British people against Germany. So I'm going to read you just a little bit of that. He says, "We have before us an ordeal of the most grievous kind. We have before us many long months of struggle and of suffering. You ask, what is our policy? I can say it is to wage war by sea, land, and air with all our might and with all the strength that God can give us, to wage war against a monstrous tyranny never surpassed in the dark, lamentable catalog of human crime. That is our policy. You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word: victory. Victory at all costs, victory in spite of all terror, victory however long and hard the road may be. For without victory, there is no survival. He knew that the world would be an uninhabitable place unless they were victorious. And so he was determined to prevail. So in this chapter, when we talk about not being quitters, when we talk about being determined to prevail, that quote has stuck in my mind for years, ever since I first studied this book. So our first question, this is just kind of one for reflection, but go ahead and chime in the chat if you want to. I'll ask some questions to the group where I want people to unmute freely and pipe in so we can have some good discussion. And then others are kind of just for reflection. Maybe they're a little more private or whatever. So a reflection question: when the pressure mounts, do you buckle? And what new belief can you attach to these types of moments that is more empowering? I didn't tell her ahead of time, but Sherry, I would like you to unmute and just share a little bit about this, because Sherry had a goal this month and she has been diligently calculating her points, working toward her goal. And then somebody on her team placed an order that caused, so basically some of y'all are new, if you have a big team, and a leader has a lot of people under them, and that leader has 0 PV, then all the people under them are worth a lot more points to you, because it's like they jump up a level. It's like that level 2 is worth 6 points as a level 1, and so on and so on. And then once that leader hits their 100 PV and becomes commission qualified, all their team fall back down a level. I hope I explained that enough. So Sherry, working hard, calculating her points toward her goal. And then late in the month, a leader on her team gets 100 PV and that person's team all decompress down a level, and Sherry's points take a little dip. So Sherry, I feel like I want you to just share with the group a little bit about that process you went through of identifying that thought and identifying some of the feelings that immediately brought up in you, and the actions that you are aware that you would follow with, and then kind of how you were able to take a shift.
So my initial, I guess, thought or feelings that I had were that I was just like, oh, what's the point? Like, because of where my brain was at, like, I'm so far, it's not that I couldn't get there, but I can't get there without doing things that I don't align with where I want to be. And so I went through that process of just kind of thinking about what naturally I want to do is just avoid my back office and avoid the things and just think I'll start over next month. And that's what I've done in the past. That's just like even though I know that's not the way to go, that doesn't get me closer to my goal. That's not good. So this month I was able to feel the feelings and think, that stinks, but this is a circumstance. My points are not where I thought they were going to be. And I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep following up with people and posting and doing the things and be the leader I'm supposed to be. So that's kind of the process I went through the past couple of days.
I'm plugging in my computer. It's about to no battery. Okay, so I love it. And not everybody reacts the same way, but Sherry, the really like the poignant thing you said was like, oh, what's the point? And so that you kind of identified like that immediate reflex, like that knee-jerk reaction for you was to go, what's the point? I'll start over again next month. And interestingly, when you kind of interrupt that thought, what's the point? And you go, I'm going to keep acting. I'm going to keep acting. And then you start to have some little victories like, okay, so Sherry and I today were, texting about a lady that we both know who wants to do the Depuff challenge. And we just needed to get her old account from a long time ago cleared out. And now she's excited to, there are other things that can kind of be true that can kind of pop up. But we, of course, never get lucky like that if we go, what's the point? And we stop working. So I love that example. She talked about, and also John Maxwell talked about Michael Jordan and just talked about his athletic career, how early on he was such a standout, talented athlete and was, putting up these amazing records and numbers. And similar in Plexus, like a novice builder can rely a lot on their own skills and efforts. But a mature builder really starts paying attention to how they can make their whole team look better, and how they can help a lot of other people win. Tiffany Watts, I see you on here. Earlier in our messages, she was like, thank you so much for all your help and support. And I was like, it really is so fun helping each other win. It really is. And so I love just kind of seeing that progression in Michael Jordan's maturing as an athlete. So here's a question for the group. What keeps teams with super talented athletes from winning? If you're reading along, he says, it's possible not to win even when you have very talented people. You need talent in order to win, but you can also not win even with very talented people on board. So what keeps super talented? Well, did I say athletes? I guess in our context, let's take out the word athletes, or maybe they can be like plathletes, Plexus people that are talented in attraction marketing, or talented in adding new VIP customers, or talented in developing people and helping them get to silver and senior silver. That's what I mean by talented in this context. So what keeps teams with super talented people from winning? Unmute, chime in, popcorn.
A lack of vision and unity.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Who, Chera?
Yep.
Yeah. It's very true. The word that I thought of was disjointed. Like, do you ever feel like your team is just disjointed and everybody's rowing in different directions and you've got your vision, but nobody really seems to share it and nobody is rowing in the same direction? That's what I thought of with that. All right. Anyone remember anything else?
It always falls back on the leadership.
Yep. The leadership. Yeah. Because again, if you have a bunch of super talented people that are kind of sort of in a group, but they are not really aware that they're in a group, and no leader is giving direction and gathering everybody toward a common goal. Exactly. And there are other things that a leader does that we'll discuss in a minute. But yeah, leadership, very much so. In fact, if a team doesn't win, the players are not the ones who get fired. The leader is the one who gets fired, because the leader is the one who is charting the course, setting the tone, creating the culture. All right. And then the last one was that you don't have enough diversity. And we don't mean that like diversity in how people look, or enough men or women, or age groups. It's not exactly what we mean here. It has more to do with diversity of talent, diversity of personalities, diversity of skills and ideas. I'll read one quote. The right players with a diversity of talent do not just come together on their own. It takes a leader to unify them. Okay, group question. I want to know, what is the last kind of concerted effort that you made to gather your team, unify them, and create culture with them? I'll answer for me, like, this may not be the very last thing, but it's the most standout thing I can think of. I planned a retreat for November, and my goal with that retreat was absolutely to gather my team, unify them, and create culture. So who else can share the last effort you made to do something like that with your team?
I'll go ahead really quick. I just recently, probably a week or two ago, Shara is probably right. I did a new thread with just leaders, like top leaders that are really in momentum and are really moving. And we created a chat so we could encourage one another. And then I was doing lots of giveaways for every follow-up message they were doing. So like Shara, it was awesome to see like little pops like, hey, how many more can you go? How many more can we do? Da, da, da. And then they're also doing graphics in there to show like how many more orders they need to hit their goal this month. And so it's more of like a short term. It could, I mean, it'll be long term, but more of like, I wanted to show momentum in a very new chat instead of being, so when they talked about chats, I really liked a lot of her tips and things. So it was good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like a chat thread that with a very specific, okay. Sherry, what about you? I know what what I'm thinking of, but have you done anything, let's say in the last month, to try and gather, unify, and create culture within your team?
I did a Zoom call with my like runners to kind of see where everybody was at and try to unify and go in the same direction.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So if when I asked that question, nothing came to mind, I want to take this moment to challenge you, because it's kind of easy to look to the person above you or two people above you and view them as the leader. I don't want to jump too far ahead. No, we'll discuss that later. But to kind of wait around on that person to create the opportunities and to create the times where you're kind of gathering your people. And so I would just really encourage you to absolutely take advantage of anything and everything Cassie does, anything and everything Sherry does. Like that's just called working smarter, not harder. But do not wait around and do not treat that like that's the only way that your team is going to be gathered up together and unified. Really take ownership of your role. You are the one who your team came to and trusted to help them make a change. And then the people that they signed up, you know, are under that umbrella. And so you have a unique pulse on your little, what is the word? I keep trying, I'm thinking of like the flock. Like, I don't know what the little word is for like chickens. That's what I'm thinking of. You have a unique pulse on your little flock that like Cassie or Sherry or I doesn't necessarily have. So yes, take advantage of the things that they do to unify and gather up your team, but don't rely on that and don't wait on that. Look at your team like your team and assess the needs that you guys have and really think, how can I get this little group to stop rowing in all these different directions and start rowing in the same direction? And it takes a leader. So I wrote down retreats. Like I planned a retreat. Cassie said she had a cool thread going that has been really good. Sherry did a team call. I also wrote down collaborations. Like there is a marked difference in the performance of my team. I actually looked at my team numbers with Nikki Hinkle. She's like a math whiz in Plexus. I looked at my numbers for the last year, and there's a very big difference from like October on. And as far as our growth and as far as our retention, like those two big areas have really changed a lot since like October. And I could really list out a lot of things for you all that I've been doing differently. But we did that retreat around that time. And a lot of ideas that came from that retreat started to pivot and kind of turn the tides on how our team was doing things. So I wrote down some things like collaboration is a really big one. I think for a long time, I have maybe just kind of shown up and assumed that it's, you know, my job to do all these things. And I haven't really collaborated and been like, what does everybody else think we need to do? And how can everybody else contribute their gifts? And, you know, what ideas can be thrown out there and acted on that I would never think of and not have the skill set to execute. So collaboration really, I think, helps unify your team. Getting to know each other's strengths. So like really watching oh my goodness, look at that person is so good at that. And how can that be used to grow the team? How can that be used to benefit the team? And start to brainstorm together ways that everybody's strengths can grow the team. Having fun together, like having experiences together that create, I don't know, where you get to know each other's kind of families or things that each other love to do, or just each other's sense of humor and personalities, like having fun together. Exercises where you learn your core values and learn each other's core values so that you can really get a feel for, as a team, the core values that maybe stand out the most, that everybody stands for the most. Yeah. Okay. So those are just some ideas that I came up with. In the video, if you watch the video, they listed out just some skill sets and types of people that a strong Plexus team needs. So let's toss some of those in the chat. And if you did not watch the video, you can still be tossing things in the chat. So things that you think make for a really strong, powerful, growing Plexus team. What sorts of skills and giftings does the strong Plexus team need? I'm watching the chat. Organization, encouragers. Yep, that's 2 that I had on my list. What else? Ooh, okay. People that are good at making graphics. I wrote down artists and creators. Yes. People that are good with numbers. Yep. Yep. Organizing. Okay. So, and with the numbers, I wrote down like analyzers and strategists, like the people that can really kind of crunch the data a little bit. Ooh, okay. Irene said visionaries, people that can look way into the future, see what they want to be. It's interesting too, Irene, because I feel like visionaries are not always the strategists. So you need the people that can look into the future and see what can be. And then you need the people who can break it down and how to make it happen. I have to shout out Sherry here because I had a vision for wanting to create a challenge that would help our team warm up our cold markets. Because once you've reached out to all your people in your warm market, it can feel like, oh my goodness, well, here I am at the end of the line. But actually, it's very possible to continually warm up cold markets and always have new people coming into your funnel. So I had a vision for how we could usher our team along in growing those skills. And Sherry was able to take that vision and break it down into much simpler, more tangible daily steps. And that was actually mentioned on the call this week. So I was like, I have to shout Sherry out in that moment. But making complex things simple and streamlined. Love it. But yes, you have to have those visionaries, because oftentimes the people who can see the little mini steps, they can't always see the big picture. Okay, I don't see anything else in the chat. So I also wrote down mobilizers, people who are able to motivate and mobilize others to get going. Pacemakers, I have a couple of these in my inner circle where when I'm just like la-di-daing along and I see somebody else setting a pace that I just didn't even consider was possible, it's extremely helpful for me. What else? People who are curious and who like to try new ideas. I think Cassie's amazing at that. So definitely shout you out there, because it is a big yin to my yang, that she's always like, hey, I heard about someone doing this. What about that? And I'm like, oh, new ideas. So I love that. Let me see. That's the biggies. Oh, tech savvy. Love those tech savvy people that make the spreadsheets that help you. And the Nikki Hinkles that are like, here, look at your numbers. That we just had that conversation.
That would be Shara for us. Like Shara is the numbers and she's like the planner and all of that. And I'm like, praise you, Jesus. This is why we don't need all Cassies. Like, I like how she said that. Like, we don't need all Brittany's or Christina's. And so anyway, good.
Yeah. And so in my next question for the group, was which one are you, or which ones are you? So we kind of have already talked about that a little bit. But if you can see like a glaring spot, a spot lacking, then that's a great thing to have in mind as you are looking out there for who you want to add to your team. And we talk a lot on our team about when you are reaching out to people for the business, that you do that with a heartfelt voice message explaining why they would be so amazing at this, why they would bring so much value to the group and to their network as a whole. And so knowing these things, like what makes a strong Plexus team, okay, and what is our team lacking? Let's say your team is really lacking someone who is like Shara, like somebody who is really good with analytics and numbers and strategies. Your team is really lacking that. Well, then that is a perfect thing that you're going to be able to reach out and say, okay, I think you would be amazing at this. Like people who know how to crunch data, they have this huge leg up. And that is why I think that you would totally rock this. So being able to give like a really specific reason why you think somebody would be amazing at this. Okay, now when we talk about the impact that a coach or a leader has on the success of their team, we kind of have to have it balanced, have one in one hand, one in the other, because yes, if a team is a losing team, the coach is the one that gets fired because it's about the leadership. It's about the leadership. It's about the unity of the team and the diversity of talent within the team. At the same time, we cannot attach our identity to the success or failure of the people on our team. And I thought Brittany did a really good job of breaking this down in the video, because it is kind of a balance. No, you cannot go do the work for them. You can't log into their Instagram and Facebook and make the post that you want them to go make. You cannot do that for them. So in that sense, you cannot make any, and she actually used an example of a personal trainer and somebody who's trying to transform their body. She said, here are all the things the personal trainer can do and is responsible for doing. But at the end of the day, if that person walks out the door and goes right to Krispy Kreme, they cannot do anything about that. So that is true. But I just want us to toe that line diligently, because I do think that as leaders, it can become an excuse to say, well, I'm not responsible for their success. I can't make them do the work. I think that can become a cop-out. I think it can become kind of a throw up the hands, throw in the towel thing. So again, when I have pacemakers around me, when I have really practiced the law of the inner circle and I have strong leaders surrounding me, I'm able to look around and go, but wait a minute. I see what she is doing over there to lead that person well. And that is something I have not been doing. And to just really lovingly, graciously, we don't have to beat ourselves up and go, oh, see, this is why I'm a failure as a leader. That's not productive. But to say, oh, that is something I can do. That is a skill I can learn, or that is a skill I can hone and get better at. So real quick, things that a coach or a leader is responsible for when it comes to the success of the people on their team. Providing perspective that they can't see on their own. Sometimes those are hard conversations, but if the person has come to you saying, I am asking you to help me change my life, I'm asking you to help me change my health, or I'm asking you to help me change my finances, or both, then you have a responsibility to offer perspective when there is a blind spot. So good for you guys, because you do this. I've had conversations with many of you this week where you said, I see a perspective with this person on my team and I need to offer them feedback on it. So how do I do that? So you guys are doing this. Also, a leader or a coach provides systems. If you're a personal trainer, you provide workouts, sets and reps of certain moves that are going to help that person grow their muscles. Same in Plexus. So providing systems for action steps, and systems for customer care, and systems for helping a new person get their first 3 referrals so they get their products covered. Like we provide those. Holding them accountable. We have that responsibility. Okay. Yes. So people will trust you as a leader once you decide victory is your only option and everything is figure outable. There is something people can just tell. When you have decided victory is your only option, everything is figure outable, everything about your day just changes. Everything about your approach just changes, and people can tell. They will trust you as a leader when you draw that line in the sand and make that decision. All right, so let's talk now about the law of momentum. Skip ahead a minute. Let me read a little quote from the book. Momentum is a leader's best friend. Many times, momentum is the only thing making the difference between winning and losing. When you have no momentum, even the simplest task seems impossible. Small problems look like insurmountable obstacles. Morale becomes low. The future appears dark. An organization with no momentum is like a train at a dead stop. It's hard to get it going. Even small wooden blocks on the tracks can keep it from going anywhere. On the other hand, when you have momentum on your side, the future looks bright, obstacles appear small, and troubles seem inconsequential. An organization with momentum is like that same train that's now moving at 60 miles per hour. You could build a steel reinforced concrete wall across the tracks, and the train would plow right through it. Boiling that down to one sentence that Brittany shared on the call, it would be fast is easy, slow is hard. And it's so true. So I want Cassie to pipe in at this point because she's been around the block with me long enough to know that fast is easy and slow is hard. So Cassie, tell us a little bit about what it feels like when people understand and are moving quickly. How much easier is it?
Oh man, I feel like it's like a 9-day difference. It's almost like teaching a child how to walk and they get it right away. And they're like, okay, here we go. Or you've got the child that it just takes a little bit longer and it's okay. It's just two different systems. One, you have to spend a lot more hand holding, hold them up, give them more information, help them go. Or the other, you're like, dude, you're running already. How'd you find all the other steps? And so I feel like that's just the difference in how that momentum's just so fast on that opposite side or the other. And it's okay. We all have different, but it is a lot easier when you have people ready and they just get it and they're ready to go. So.
Yeah. We have different paces, but when I first started Plexus, I wasn't all in. I was sharing about products, but I was scared to share about earning money, the income opportunity. I was scared to recruit a team. I felt I had some head trash. So basically the head trash was I was like judgmental of some of my uplines for talking about the money because in my inner world, I viewed that as like maybe selfish or I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe, or just tacky. I think the word was just like tacky. And so I had those judgments. And so therefore I thought if I am talking about the opportunity, the money, the business, then I'm going to be judged as tacky. So I'm just going to take it slow. And, whenever I rank up and, tortoise and the hare, right? Well, late one night in my first month, I stumbled upon this video. So I'm going to challenge everybody to watch it for extra credit. It's called Recruit 20 People in 30 Days. And the title jumped out at me. I didn't know who the guy was. It's actually Eric Worre, who's a professional network marketer. He's written several best-selling books. Well, I didn't know that. I just was caught by the title, Recruit 20 People in 30 Days. And that video lit such a fire under me that when I finished watching it, I went and reached out to all of the people I was too chicken to reach out to that first month. All the people that could be amazing, would be amazing, that have in fact been amazing now that they've joined my team and gone Emerald. But I was too chicken to reach out to them. I had all the excuses for why, they wouldn't be interested, or they don't have any need for this, or what would they think of me if I brought it up to them? But when I watched that video, he broke down this concept for me that fast is easy, slow is hard. Success loves speed. So yes, you can take the tortoise method and just take the slow route. But if you go fast and if you recruit lots of people and they start getting the word out, they start planting seeds, they start getting their network healthy, it's incredible how those little wooden blocks that are on the tracks, they're not able to stop the whole train. You just plow right through them. It's like they're not even there, like those obstacles that feel so huge before that momentum builds up. It's just like it's not even there. I don't see Julia on the call tonight, but I was also going to ask her. But Cassie, you can kind of speak on her behalf. But same deal, right? That speed, like right now with our DPUF challenge starting in a few days, everybody that we're pulling in with a welcome pack to do the DPUF group, I'm saying to those people, look, here's your graphic for social media. If you bring 3 friends, you get a guaranteed prize of $100 to $300. That's all I'm saying. I'm not like, okay, so now we're going to go through a 5-step video series on how you're going to go silver. Okay, so success loves speed.
Hey, Carissa, really quick. I think success loves less too, because I think if we give them too much, it's overwhelming. And so I think that sometimes when we do the longer approach, it's because we're giving too much. So I've found when I give less, like you said, the graphic, here you go, pop this. And also, do you know that this is the income for this month? I'm here to help you. And then it's back in their court. But offering that, being bold enough and offering those things right at the beginning is what sets the pace, the momentum, versus going, I don't know if I should bring it up right now. Maybe I'll do it next week once they get their products and once they get everything. Maybe I'll try that then, right? But no, like having the conversation right at the bat and not waiting. So
yes, I 100% agree. And yes, the simplicity. Success does love simplicity. Got it. It's got to be simple. Okay. So creating the momentum though. Imagine that train, or I'm imagining an episode I saw of The Amazing Race where they had this challenge. They had to fill up this mine train car with all this salt, and then they had to move it like half a mile away. And as they were trying to get this car moving, they're like, dang, this is heavier than I thought. And I just visually remember seeing them struggle to get it moving that first few inches. And then once it finally starts rolling, they're able to use that momentum to get it all the rest of the way down the track, even the weaker people. So yes, creating that momentum initially can feel really hard. It can feel harder than just like normal work. But on the flip side, once the momentum is there, it feels way, way easier than it should be. But the important thing for a leader to note is that momentum does not create itself, and that you as the leader are responsible for creating it. And again, let me say here, yes, maximize whatever your leader is doing, but don't wait or rely on your leader to be the one creating the momentum for you and your team. So specifically, I wanted to bring up convention here. We're all headed to convention this month, almost this month, June. So what are you going to do at convention with your team, whether it's 2 people or 5 people or 15 people? What are you going to do at convention to create momentum? And we create that in a number of ways, but we motivate and we inspire and we nudge people toward action, and we cast vision, and we unify people around the vision. Like there's lots of things that are done to create it, but you've got to decide that you're responsible for creating it. And when you decide, okay, I'm responsible for creating it, then you start asking, so how am I going to create it? What am I going to do? What am I going to try? Oh, that's a bad idea. Well, hey, let's try it anyway. Right? Like all of those thoughts that we have. If a leader is waiting around for someone or something to motivate them, that team is in trouble. The motivation starts within the leader. We've all been there. We've all been there. We've all been there. This is not a shaming moment. We've all been there in seasons where we are unmotivated. But we all started this for a reason. We're all here tonight on the leadership call for a reason. We want to make waves in our life. We want to change people's lives. We want to be game changers for people. So yes, we all have times where motivation feels low, but we don't wait around looking for who or what to snap me out of it. Cassie, what do you do when you need motivation?
I watch or listen to a training video or listen to a podcast or dive into my Bible, because I'm the only one that's not going to eat like if I choose, I liked her coach analogy. Like I get to choose if I eat the donut or not. It's my choice, not my coach's, and not your, like you can't get on to me every single morning. You can, but I get to choose if there's a donut beside me, if I eat it or not. And so the moment for me to dive in, it's podcasts, it's books, it's whatever I feel like I need that's missing or lacking. That's exactly what I need to hear.
Yes. So like I have people within Plexus who really resonate with me. Emily Gibson, Marianne Anderson, Brittany Howard. Like those are some of the biggies. And everybody has different people that really resonate with them, but you're responsible for figuring out who those people are and filling your mind with whatever it is that helps snap you out of it, snap you out of the funk. Okay. So yeah, I already kind of talked about the convention example, but another little mini challenge. I really want to challenge you that if you're coming to convention, I hope you are, you're coming to convention in person. I want to challenge you to bring someone with you, because you might even be brand new. But when I first went to convention, I brought a team member who was brand new. And I didn't have the vision yet for what she was going to be, which she turned out to be amazing. But having her there changed everything. So it's not too late. They're keeping registration open until June 15th. So that's enough time to find somebody and say, I want you to do Plexus with me, and I want you to come to convention with me, and let's see what we can make this into. So side note there. But anyway, if you're coming with team, one person, two people, 5, 10, 15 people, think about a little gift that you can give them as a thank you for taking time and budget out of their life to be there and be part of your vision. Think about a gathering. Think about getting together with that one person and doing a little power half hour, and each of you reaching out to 5 people that you really want on your team together and get strength from each other, get courage from each other. Think about experiences that you can have fun together, bond, and just go out and do something new. Again, don't wait for your upline to plan that for you. You be the leader, you plan that. You cannot kindle a fire in another heart until it is burning in your own heart. So light that fire in your own heart. Okay, we're getting now to the energy. You can see that my name is all caps, 10 exclamation marks, because I'm such a big believer in this. Energy is contagious. The way Emily Gibson says it is, energy bleeds onto others. When you finally believe it's possible, you start passing that energy around to others. You know the feeling when like you finally realize, oh my goodness, I really can hit this goal. I really can. And you get a little bit giddy and you start like, you know, I have felt that way this month as I'm looking through and seeing who is able to get a re-rank bonus. And I reach out and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so close. You're going to get $500. Like, here's how you do it. And here's how many orders you need. And like, I am just so excited about that. So when you finally believe something is possible, you start passing that energy around to others. But I want this question to stick out. Are you committed to the discomfort of your goals? Are you committed to the discomfort of your goals? Every month when you're like, okay, I can do it. Am I committed to the discomfort? Energy is contagious. My biggest soapbox, I'm just going to say it every time. I'm just going to say it every time, because that way I'm never giving this feedback in a heated moment when somebody has actually done this. I'm just giving it in generic moments. But since energy is contagious, if you find yourself on a live video or leading a Zoom call or hosting an opportunity event or sharing your testimony, bring the energy. Dial it up to a level 11. It's going to feel silly. It's going to feel weird. It might feel fake, but for the sake of presentation, you really just have to do that. Nobody wants to jump on a lackluster bandwagon. Nobody heeds the call of an uncertain trumpet. People are drawn to your energy. So this is a reflection question. Daily, like when you show up to engage in Plexus world, ask yourself, do I want people catching this energy? Like, because it's contagious. So do I want people catching this energy? Okay, if the answer is no, like what am I going to do to dial it up? If you model it day in and day out, you will get the ball rolling and you will attract people with the same energy. Okay. She did a great little section on the first step to creating momentum, because it can be tough to do the work that actually gets the cart rolling. So the first step is removing demotivating elements. She highlighted a few things here that she's talked about in past calls, and I really appreciated the repetition on this, that she protects the atmosphere of things like her chat threads, right? That if you've got an event coming up and people start chiming in like, well, I'm so sorry, but I can't make it because my kid's got a soccer game, that's demotivating. That then the general atmosphere of the group is, well, yeah, maybe I've got something better to do too. So the same can be said, whether it's, an upcoming event that you've started a thread for, or whether it's maybe a group of workers that you're on a power hour with together. Or maybe it's like a community group, like the Fun Mom Summer group that we've been doing, any setting really. As the leader, you can have that radar out for those demotivating elements, and you can decide, nope, this is not going to be part of the culture here. This is demotivating. You can have that awareness and ability to discern that, and then just be leader enough to reach out and say, hey, that does not add value in that setting. So let's just kind of keep that to yourself next time. So she mentioned group chats, team pages. She also talked about groups and like Facebook groups or chats where it doesn't even have to be like negativity, Debbie Downer type stuff. Sometimes it's just like dead places. Like people, what did I say earlier? Like people want to jump on a winning bandwagon. So if you add them to the team page and it's dead and nobody's commenting and nobody's posting and nobody's welcoming new people, it's like, okay, so that's the vibe. That's the vibe I've got going on here. Okay, cool. So what can you do as a leader to really foster that liveliness and really foster that engagement? I don't know. For so long as a leader, I was just kind of a victim to all that. I was like, well, the group is so dead, or the chat is so dead, instead of what I now know, which is to reach out and be like, hey, Sherry, can you engage in that thread a little bit? Or Cassie will message me and be like, hey, can you catch up in that thread, please? Like, inject some life into that. Like just starting to recognize it and take responsibility for it. Also, with momentum, I think what we can really do is magnify the wins. So if we know that people like to jump on a winning bandwagon, then I ask myself every day, how can I magnify the wins? And this is a group question. This is actually a group question. So let's discuss it a little bit. We know kind of what the demotivating things are. So like dead groups or negativity or comparison, or another really demotivating thing would be like you have a personal win and you take like no time to recognize and celebrate it. You move right on to the next goal without actually appreciating and recognizing like the win. That can be very demotivating. Not having any vision, like doing something with no clue why you're doing it or with no connection to why you're doing it. These are some demotivating things, but let's not dwell there. Let's discuss as a group, what are some motivators? What can you magnify so that the motivating factors are highlighted and that people feel like they're jumping on a winning bandwagon? Anyone have anything? I've talked for a long time, so you might be shy, but just unmute. What do you highlight or magnify? What wins do you highlight or magnify?
Just helping somebody get started.
Okay.
A lot of times in our threads, we're like, hey, we added one. And so everybody chimes in, great job, congratulations. We'll do like little GIF, however you say that, with the funny little dancing, things and stuff.
Yeah. Not gifts. So, yeah, gifts.
Gifts, whatever. Yeah.
I thought you said gifts.
So that's one thing we do.
Yeah. That's good. What else?
Celebrating when somebody shares.
Go ahead. What?
Celebrating when somebody shares their experience. Or
okay. Yeah. Like if they
shares with somebody.
Or to go do a live testimony or host an event, anything like that. Let's see. Other motivators. Like I find it really motivating when somebody has good product results. So I really like to magnify that if somebody within our team or even a sideline team has great product results, like I really want to shine a spotlight on that. What else? Let's see. We said like when people add people, when people share, excuse me, share, post, when people have good product results, when people are earning money. Like I love to highlight when people are earning money. So that's fun about this month because people are earning money for re-ranks. They're earning money for consistently maintaining their rank. They're earning money for hitting new ranks. There's a lot of opportunities to highlight that people that are making money. People taking action. I love shining a spotlight on people who are taking action. Action cures everything. Action cures everything.
Another one is when somebody does something scary, they reach out to somebody scary and they can't believe they did it. They feel like they're going to throw up, or they can't believe that they led a call or did things like that. Those little things are celebrated, especially like for the ones that aren't tech savvy and they're trying and they're making a graphic or they're doing something. I feel like the smallest things sometimes are the ones that we need to shout out just as big as some of the bigger ones. So
yeah. And like she said, if you watch the call, she said on the call, we don't necessarily shout out every effort. We shout out the accomplishments. And I think the difference here is just that you recognition doesn't always have to be public, but recognizing someone's effort and recognizing work that goes on behind the scenes can really be so meaningful. I was chatting with a level 1, a strong leader level 1 this week, who has a team member who's struggling. And she told me something that she said to encourage this team member. And then my response was, you know what? You are very good at doing that. And that was excellent advice. And not only did you give her that advice, but you modeled that. And so way to go. So that was not me publicly shouting her out, but it was me seeing her effort and recognizing that. And that's very motivating, just to be seen and appreciated and recognized. Okay, well, hopefully that gives everybody ideas, because we want to be magnifying motivating things. So magnifying when people are having progress, when people are having joins, when people are ranking up. Oh, we didn't even say rank ups. Ranking up, hugely motivating, because yes, like, I can add a new person, but if I add 2 people and I get my business building bonuses doubled, or if I add enough people to hit a rank, corporate recognizes that. So then corporate has my name in the email or on the weekly leaderboard, or they send me a certificate in the mail and, and they pay me a rank up bonus and all that. So that is very motivating. That's kind of a next level motivating thing. All right, cool. Any other thoughts about momentum? I love when I'm like right on time. So any other thoughts about generating momentum, being responsible for creating momentum, getting through the demotivating times, highlighting the motivators? I see some shakes of heads. All right, so I've given you guys a couple of mini challenges to gather your team, create culture and unity, gather your team at convention, not only to bond and have fun together, but to act together, to take action together because you borrow each other's courage. And what was my last little mini challenge? No, I said, go watch Eric Worre. Yep, go watch Recruit 20 People in 30 Days. I feel like there was one more.
You had a gift for the people that came to convention.
Well, that was a suggestion. So yes,
Oh.
like when you go to convention, be thinking what you can do as the leader of your team to unify, encourage, inspire toward action. It can include a little gift. It can include getting them together for a little power half hour to take action together. It can include just having fun, bonding together, but really be thinking about that. Okay. And I think that may have been all my little mini challenges. Okay, cool. So, and if and when you take one of the challenges and do the thing, make sure you let us know in whatever thread you're in that we're all in so that we can celebrate each other and continue to just magnify these motivating things. When you guys do something motivating, it inspires me. Okay, good night, everybody. End of month tomorrow. Okay, bye guys.